Okay guys, this should be video 4. I just didn't want to make the other video too long, so this is still 2-7. So we're going to talk about finding the rational zeros using the rational zero theorem. So here's the steps. First, you list out all the possible ones, and then you start testing them using synthetic division. Synthetic substitution. See which one gives you a 0. When you find a 0 that works, use the remainder to completely factor the polynomial, then find the zeros. So, hopefully, this won't take us too long. There won't be too hard. So, we'll start with looking at this. If you look, what can you do? Can you factor this? No, it's 4 terms. You can't factor by grouping because nothing you took out would work. You can't take an x out to take a degree down. So you're really stuck. How do I do this? And so that's when we always go P over Q, P over Q. So let's list out the P's. The possible P's are, for 8, it's 1, 2, 4, and 8. All right, those are the only factors of 8. And then nicely, we have a 1 in front of the leading coefficient, so Q is just 1. So if we want to list out the possible rational zeros that we could have, we would have plus or minus 1 over 1, plus or minus 2 over 1, plus or minus 4 over 1, and plus or minus 8. So hopefully one of these will work. And I always say use one first. Now remember, this is really just going f of 1. Does f of 1 give you, and you're looking for 0 here. Does f of 1 give you 0? So I sort of go, I don't use synthetic division for 1 and negative 1 because I'm faster at just sticking a 1 in this original one. You can choose to do synthetic if you want, but looking at this guy, I can just stick a 1 in here. And so I'll say 1, putting a 1 here, a 1 for the x here, 1 plus 3 minus 6 minus 8. And that's not going to be equal to 0. So 1 doesn't work. And I'm going to do f of negative 1 just without doing synthetic division or synthetic substitution, because it's easy for me. Every time you have an odd degree, you're going to change the sign, and every time you have an even, you're going to keep it. So this would be negative 1. And that would still be plus 3. And this would be plus 6 minus 8. So if you look, I have negative 9 plus 9. So I already know that negative 1 is one of my factors. That would mean that it's x plus 1, right, as one of my factors. So 1 worked. And I'm going to use synthetic division to get the reduced polynomial, the depressed polynomial. So negative 1, and let's see, it would be 1, 3, negative 6, negative 8. And I know this works because I already tested it. That equals 0 there. So 1, negative 1, 2, negative 2, negative 8, 8, 0. So my depressed polynomial is x squared plus 2x minus 8. And my other polynomial that I found was x plus 1. So let's factor this now. We should be able to just factor that to x plus 4, x minus 2, and x plus 1. So our zeros are negative 4, negative 1, and 2. Okay, so I used P over Q to see which things to try. Like it's literally guess and check, but you don't have to guess that many. You have those actually it's these choices to check, and always check 1 and negative 1 first. Okay, because they're the easiest to do, and many times those work. Especially with problems that you're given here. So let's go to number 8. I can't factor this any other way. I can't pull an x out. I can't use grouping. It's not a perfect trinomial. Or difference of cubes or anything like that. So I'm going to use P over Q. And so P is 20, so that would be 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20. And luckily, Q is 1. Oops, Q is 1. So P over Q, my possible rational zeros are plus or minus 1 over 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 5, plus or minus 10, plus or minus 20. So a few more than the last time, but still it was nice that Q was only 1 because I don't have fractions. Okay, so I don't have a square term, so let's just put 1 in first to see if we get 0. Is 0 equal to 1 cubed minus 21 times 1 plus 20? So that means 1 minus 21 plus 20. So that works. That is. So I know 1, here it is right here, this, plus 1 was a 0. So if I'm factoring, let me get what the depressed polynomial was because I need it. So plus 1, you don't need the plus there, I just put it there. Okay, is, let's see, up here, 1, and then a 0 for my square term, negative 21 and 20. And I know this comes out right, but I need my depressed polynomial to keep going. 1, that would be 1, 1, that would be negative 20, negative 20 is 0. So my depressed polynomial is 1x squared plus 1x minus 20. And so that, and I had x plus 1, because that's what worked. Oh, it was plus 1, right? So that means, is it x plus 1 or x minus 1? It should be, the factor should be x minus 1 to get a 1 right here. So now we're factoring this to probably 4 and 5. X plus 5, x minus 4, and then x minus 1. So my zeros are plus or minus, nope, no plus or minuses, negative 5, 1, and 4. Okay, so let's do a couple more. You have a couple more, let's see. Let's do one that has a fraction in it. Okay, let's see. Number 9 doesn't have a fraction in it. It's pretty just like the last one, so I'm going to skip that. Let's go to number 10. Wow, I made that big. Okay, so let's try, okay, it's 6 and 2. So P is 6 and Q is 2. So P is 1, 2, 3, and 6. And Q is 1 and 2. So P over Q is plus or minus 1, plus or minus 1/2, plus or minus 2, and then plus or minus 1 again, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 3/2, and plus or minus 6, and plus or minus 6 over 2, which is 3 we already have. Okay, so those are my things to try. I'm going to try 1. So let me see, 1. It's 2, negative 5, negative 1, 6. So that's 2. Put a 2 there, negative 3, negative 3, negative 4. Nope, 1 doesn't work. So then you go to negative 1. Let me try negative 1, because this is plus or minus 1, right? So put the same thing, only use negative 1, 2, negative 5, negative 1, 6. And I get 2, negative 2, that would be negative 7. And that would be a positive 7, which gives me a positive 6, and a negative 6, 0. So negative 1 worked. So I have one factor of x plus 1, or a 0 of negative 1, so you can see. Depressed polynomial becomes 2x squared minus 7x plus 6. And this is the remainder. That's why I never write it down, because it's 0. All right, now we have to factor this. So this is what we were left with, 2x squared minus 7x plus 6. And then let's see. Let's trial and error. 2x, and it has to be 2x and 1x. And it's a minus here and a plus here, so these both have to be minus. So to get 6, I'm looking at 3 and 2. If I put a 3 here, that'll give me 6 and 7. So I think that's right. 2 here. No, wait. If I put a 3 here, that'll give me minus 6x minus 2 more. That'll be minus 8x. That's not right. How about, let me erase. How about I put 2 here and 3 here? That would be minus 4x minus 3x. That would be minus 7x. So that's right there. X plus 1. I hope you understood. I was just trial and error. But you see, it doesn't take you very long to do trial and error. That's how I always factor. It's really fast. So here's my 3 binomial factors. So that means x would have to be -1, 3/2, and 2. All right, so we found, by using P over Q, we found one possible. So we were just, again, you got to understand, we're just guessing. We're guessing. What could I start with to try to find a factor? Okay, but we're using P over Q to guess. Let's do one more. Let's see. Should we do 11? Okay, let's do 11. So here's P, here's Q. Start that way. Because, like, look, can I pull an X out? No. Can I factor by grouping? 4 and 21 don't go in together. I could have factored by grouping by moving this around. I'm just curious. Let me put this with this, and then do this with this, and see what I get. Say, move this around. 4x cubed plus 32x plus 21x squared plus 15. I'm just curious. So if I take a 4x out of here, I get x plus 8. And if I take, this is 21. If I take a, let's see, 3 goes into these, right? 3, I get x squared. Not going to be able to do it. So I was just curious. Doesn't hurt to try. I was trying to do factor by grouping. All right, so back to P over Q. So we have 15, which is 1 and 3 and 5 and 15. And Q is 1 and 2 and 4. So all possibilities are of P over Q are plus or minus 1, plus or minus 1/2, plus or minus 1/4, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 3/2, plus or minus 3/4. I'm going to come down here. Well, I'll keep going. Plus or minus 3/4. I'm on 3. Plus or minus 5. Plus or minus 5/2. Plus or minus 5/4. There's a lot of choices here. And lastly, plus or minus 15. 15/2. Plus or minus 15/3, what 15/4. I guess that's new, yeah. Plus or minus 15/4. I sure hope I don't have to go all the way over there to get some of these. So let's try one. Start at the beginning. So that's 4, 21, 32, 15. 4, 21, 32, 15. Okay, so bring that down 4. That is 4. And that's 25. 25, and that's 7. 57. 57 times 1 is 57. Nope, that is not going to give me a 0 there. So 1 didn't work. Let me try -1. 4, 21, 32, 15. 4, -4. Oops, -4. So would that be 17, right? And that's negative 17. And so that would be, take away 17 from 32 is 5, 15, and negative 15. So it looks like negative 1 worked. Yay, because we got 0. So we have one of them. So now we'll use this depressed polynomial. So we have x plus 1. That's what a minus 1 will give you. The factor would be x plus 1. Make sure you get that right. And then we have 4x squared plus 17x plus 15. So we're going to have to factor this. So I'm going to try, let's see. Let's try 4x plus 3. No, it's all pluses. And x plus 5. So that would give me 20 plus 3. So that's 23. Too many. So I'm going to go change this to a 3 and the other one to a 5. So what if I do 5 here and 3 here? That's 12 and 5 is 17. I'm looking at the middle terms because I know I have 4x squared. If I'm foiling this to check it. Plus 12x plus 5x plus 15. And sure enough, there's my 17. So that's correct. So now I have x plus 1, 4x plus 5, and x plus 3. So x must equal negative 3, negative 5/4, and negative 1. So that's how you do it. P over Q. Write down the possibles. Try them. Sometimes they take a long time. You have to try multiple things. We were lucky. If I didn't get plus or minus 1, I would have gone to plus or minus 3. I would have tried a 3 next, and I would try my whole numbers before I try my fractions. Unfortunately, sometimes it's the fraction ones that are the right ones to start with. All right, so I'm going to skip the rest of the problems because this is a long video. I hope you understand how to do the PRQ. I think this is probably review for y'all. If you don't understand, you could try looking on at the same thing. Call it the rational zero theorem. You can look on Khan Academy and see how Mr. Khan did explaining this. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.